So I did a thing in honor of, for those of you who are listening on Spotify, that's totally fine. We're doing a video podcast, which is great. It's been fun.
Yes.
And it's the opportunity for us to, talk, and you can see us if you want to, but I want to make it a little special. So I did do a thing. And seeing as how this is Knicks Film School, I'm going to take us to school.
Oh my God.
I may or may not have made a presentation.
Oh my God.
For shits and giggles.
You really did?
I really did. It's fun. I love it.
I think I could actually make you a host of this meeting, and you could screen share.
I can. I think I'm allowed to do it right now. Oh, it says host disabled attendees.
Yeah, no, I'm making you the host right now.
The wonders of live podcasting, folks.
This is the magic. This is like movie magic, except it's not movies. Well,
Right.
I mean, it is videoing. Can you screen share now?
I can indeed.
Oh my goodness.
Share.
Oh my God.
I had time, I just wanted it to be fun. So for those of you, again, if you're not watching this, I gotta be honest, you're missing out. I'm just being candid. So
check out Knicks Film School YouTube channel is now live. So
exactly,
check it out.
So the title of this here presentation is Another Cohen Fixes a New York Sports Team. It's by a less rich Cohen. That would be me for obvious reasons. So let's begin. Goals. Yeah, that's right. I did the
sorry if you're just listening to this. There was a transition that just blew my mind. It was just really great. Okay, keep going.
So we got some goals, folks. What are we doing? We're going to add youth. Surround Mitch and RJ with ball handling, floor spacers, smart defenders. No immovable contracts. So as you can imagine, that's definitely not a Russell Westbrook trade incoming.
So wait, Russell Westbrook is not in your ideal offseason?
I thought about it, but he is not. Foster a competitive environment, acquire more future assets than we're sending out, and flexibility in 2021, but a keen focus on 2022. So
this is great.
Step 1, the draft. I've got Mr. Killian Hayes at 8. However,
this is good.
If no Killian Hayes, Kyra Lewis Jr. makes a ton of sense. And I think for the reasons that you talked about, agency perspective, I know that or at least I just spent the last hour basically arguing against what the appeal can be for Russ, especially off the court. But I do want to just very quickly touch upon this. We also talked about it maybe a month or so, however long ago, that talent obviously reigns supreme. Talent is what drives everything. But you have to configure the idea of, okay, well, if we're able to market a team, because not everyone's going to watch our games, but people are going to follow loosely because it's a small league. What is that going to mean? And this idea that I've kind of been tossing around is, look, if a player like Devin Vassell is the best player on your board, go for him. Take him. Fine by me. But there's also something to be said about this marketing image of, we've got our lead guard of the future in Hayes, or Lewis Jr. in this case. Absolutely. We've got our lead wing of the future in RJ Barrett, and we've got our lead big of the future in Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
And those are your 3 players you can kind of build around. And we know, I don't know what kind of say Scott Perry has in this draft, but we know that he has a thirst for speedy point guards. And he's not shy about it. It's something that he seems to have almost everywhere he goes, except in Orlando, which they've been dying for.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't call Markelle Fultz, but I'm digressing. If you look at the players also that Walt Perrin has drafted in the past, they're mostly creators and his Cantor. These are, the lottery guys. Facilitators, it's important. It's this idea of, people are so transfixed with this idea of lightning fast speed. And it's something that I don't love. I care more about strength, IQ, finesse, but that doesn't mean speed's not an important factor. And if you can have someone breaking down the defense like Lewis Jr. can, then that's huge. So I think I'm at the point where I would take Killian over Kyra Lewis Jr., but I could also very easily see why the Knicks could go with Kyra Lewis Jr. and for those reasons. And again, pick the best player available, but keep this all in mind. My prediction, by the way, is that they're gonna take Kyra Lewis Jr. So they're gonna figure out a way to exit the draft with Kyra. Mm-hmm. Keep going. And if they trade down, also great. It was hard for me to feel like there's a partner here where he still might be available, so I just kept it at 8.
Okay.
27, another French dude, Killian Tilly at 27. I think the outside spacing ability, he was really, affected by injuries, but he's the type of player where you can have a big stretch of the floor, which is something you can't really do with Mitchell Robinson right now. And I should put this out there that a lot of this was from my fellow friends at the Strickland through osmosis or talking with Prez. So
I was about to say Killian, I think at 27 might be a little high.
Might be.
My perfect offseason would have Desmond Bane fall to us at 27, but again, that's not going to happen.
Right. And I was trying to balance that too. So the next player could actually be at 27 instead of 38, but I've got Emmanuel Quickly.
Okay. It's not bad.
I was thinking before, okay, well, what if Isaiah Joe was there at 27? Would I take him? I might. I just think that the fact that Quickly is such a good shooter, this is a very weird draft. And we know the relationship that Kenny Payne has with him at Kentucky, obviously. The fact that he can play defense. He's not much of a creator, but you can have him more off ball. And then I've got trading cash considerations to the New Orleans Pelicans for the 44th pick. The Benson family has a lot of expenses between the Pelicans and the Saints. They don't have many fans in the stands, so that's really hard for them.
This is true. They got to pay for Jenny Craig for Zion. So there's that.
They do. For reference, the Knicks have $5.6 million that they can send in or out. It expires at the end of the year. So by end of the year, I mean, what, Friday?
Yeah.
So might as well spend it. And then I have at 44, the Knicks
Sam Merrill. Nice. I like it.
Shout out to Tyrese. This is what he rubbed off on me with this one. So
can I give you mine real quick? I would have Xavier Tillman at 38. I would if 44 actually was transpired, I would have Quickly at 44. Mm-hmm. And in my perfect offseason, I would have Sam Merrill as an undrafted free agent. But this is great. I like this. Okay. So what's step 2?
Guarantees.
Okay.
This one's going to ruffle feathers. I'm just warning people right now. So, and just for reference, the order of how things are going is still a little up in the air. It seems that the non-guaranteed contracts might be after free agency starts on that Saturday, but there are team options on the Thursday, so maybe they'll combine the two. We'll see. So I've got them all lumped in before free agency starts, but I've got guarantee Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock. Now, there are two groups of people right now. There's the one group that's saying, oh my God, I can't believe that you just guaranteed Elfrid Payton. How the fuck could you bring Elfrid goddamn Payton back onto my team, you ginger-headed fuckface? And here's what I say.
I needed to get another beer before this.
I say, listen to the other side, because the other side is saying, I see where he's going with this. I see exactly why he's doing this. It's not because he wants the Knicks.
You mean like Elfrid Payton and his family? They could see it.
It could be them too. It's the family members of Elfrid Payton down in Louisiana, and it's the other fans who are saying, I know what he's going to do with that contract. So let's bear with him for a second. And then I've got Reggie Bullock. It'd be dumb not to pick him up, in my opinion. I think. Yeah.
No, I agree. And for the record, I don't think picking up Elfrid's $8 million is insane at all. He's not bad.
Yeah. The way I looked at it, as sad as this is, it's a really low bar. He might have been one of, if not the best, mercenary point guards of the last 4 or 5 years. It's sad, but it's true.
Just go look at the on-off offensive numbers from last year with Payton on the floor, and maybe that's not totally fair, but it's like you can't ignore them anyway.
No. Okay. So I've got non-guaranteeing Wayne Ellington and Taj Gibson. I don't know how I can really trade Wayne Ellington. We talked about the idea of maybe with the Trailblazers, you kick it to him instead of Mario Hezonja, but that deadline will happen after the draft, so it's kind of hard to finagle.
Yeah.
And then I've got accept the team option on Theo Pinson. And then you've got that same Elfrid Payton crowd that's going, what is he doing? And then you've got the other side that says like, okay, I definitely see where he's going with this.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Then I've got, of course, the easiest off-season decision of all time, decline the team option on Bobby Portis.
Bobby's been tweeting. He's ready to hoop.
Yeah.
He's ready to come back in the gym.
Here's the crazy thing about Bobby Portis. If you want the Knicks to bring back Bobby Portis, it's almost impossible for them to do, because if you bring him back on a 1-year contract, do you know what he gets, John? He gets a no trade clause.
There
So
you
he would
go.
join the Wall of Fame with Ron Baker, Luke
Oh.
Cornett. I just don't think that's going to happen. So
I
we move.
mean, if the money's low enough,
yeah, but then
which it's probably not going to be, but
well, I mean, he's not going to make very much. But is that worth locking in that amount for a guy who maybe says, "I don't really want to go elsewhere"?
No. No. Please, yeah, keep going.
Do not extend qualifying offers to Damian Dotson and Jared Harper.
What are you doing?
Well, look.
Why are you doing this to me?
Why am I doing this? I just got Emmanuel Quickly and Sam Merrill. Yes, I could bring Dotson back. Absolutely. I know that he's loved.
I can't. You just broke my. You're Fredo. You broke my heart.
That's fine. Listen, I like Damian Dotson. I respect fans who love Damian Dotson. I think that he's been used wrong, and I totally accept that. I also see a 26-year-old player who is a career 36% shooter from deep.
Oh, stop.
He's
with your
good
math.
Catch and shoot, but that's the thing. I'm trying to be economical here, and if they bring him back, that's great. It's not something that is a burning passion for me. So I'm sorry, Damian. I'm not going to extend that qualifying offer.
Damian, if you're listening to this or any of your family is listening to this, just know that Jeremy Cohen does not speak for the views of the Knicks Film School Podcast or myself.
I hope all Team Dot does well wherever he goes. And
he
then
will,
finally,
because he's awesome.
Just for the sake of everything, I'm going to renounce the cap holds on Portis, Harkless, Dotson, and Harper. And that's that.
Okay. This is so impressive. People really need to go check out the YouTube channel, which hopefully we'll actually see this on.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
And I've got a nice handy dandy cap sheet for where we are at right now. It's a picture of
Scott Perry looked so like young and like
and
vibrant. What?
Naive.
Like, what?
It's a picture of Scott Perry and Steve Mills holding a basketball. Your classic New York PR photo opportunity.
Gosh.
So right now we are at $33.2 million in cap space. For the next year, it's 36.8, and the year after, 68.9. So we're doing well. We've got some roster spots to fill, but I think we're doing all right so far. Next, free agency. Now, the first one, I know I'm going to get some pushback from you, John. I've got.
Oh boy.
Well, actually, no. I should go this. Let's look at the top free agents very quickly. Fred VanVleet. I see him staying in Toronto. I think he's posturing for a bigger offer. I just don't think he also makes sense in New York. I mean, he does, but it's not going to work out that way.
I just want to put it out there. At this point, I'd be literally shocked if VanVleet was a Knick whenever.
Right. Joe Harris, I just don't see him leaving Brooklyn. I think they're going to try to keep him because, if anything, he's outgoing salary in, say, a future James Harden trade. Maybe the Rockets don't want Joe Harris, but another team might. You could get a 3-team deal. It's matching salary.
Think there's a prayer that he's a Knick either.
Right, exactly. You've got Davis Bertans.
Nah, not going to happen.
I agree. I think that the Wizards pay up because they want to show Bradley Beal that they can win, and they traded something for him, and that's viewed as a sunk cost.
Yes.
And then finally, Christian Wood.
Your favorite player.
Exactly. I just don't think Detroit lets him leave. Granted, he could walk. He's not a restricted free agent. But money talks, and they've got a lot of it. They've got $30 million.
So this is interesting. I think what would be the top 4 free agents on most Knick fans' boards in your ideal free agency, none of them are coming here. So I ask you, Jeremy Cohen, what do you have them doing with this money?
Well, John. Oh, I should actually say Jeremy Grant.
Oh yeah, Jeremy. We forgot about Jeremy Grant.
I think the Nuggets are going to pay.
It's not real. Yeah, I agree.
So I've got Danilo Gallinari. I'm bringing the rooster home, and here's why. I'm selling Danilo on the idea of you did well with a team that was very young and was supposed to have a 0.2% chance of the playoffs, right? 0.2 or 2%. I think it was 0.3%.
So it was low. It was not a significant number.
Right. And I said, look at what you did with that, with a point guard who worked. Now, I understand you want to play for a contender, but here's the thing. We're going to try this out because we're really one of the few teams who can actually afford to pay you and give you the opportunity to be traded to a contending team. And we can take back that salary. So it'll work out.
I wonder what contending team would trade for him on this contract. 2 years, 31.7, fully guaranteed.
I would say that's a good question.
We can think about that. We don't have to answer right now. It's
Sure.
probably a longer conversation, but I'm gonna store that in the back of my mind.
Sure.
Okay.
I think there are enough moving pieces. Like if you are, if you're the Suns maybe, and you don't get Chris Paul, but you do sign Fred VanVleet, perhaps maybe you trade Oubre for Gallinari, that sort of thing.
I think there's a better chance that you'd be able to trade Gallo next year on this. But I think actually, you know what? If they offered Gallo 2 years, roughly 32 million guaranteed, I bet you he'd kick. I think he'd look at that.
Yeah, because there's an out clause. They could say, we'll give it the old college try, Leon, my CAA buddy. But if it doesn't work out, let's move on.
I like this. Okay.
And also, if you're putting two and two together, you're thinking, well, what does this mean for Julius Randle? We'll get there.
Okay.
Next, I've got Justin Holiday for a 2-year, $20.5 million deal. And I got to say, I love Ian Begley. He kind of blew up my spot because his most recent article had both of these guys. And
I was saw that.
Damn it, Ian. All right. Well, so for Justin Holiday, look, you could start him. You could bring him off the bench. To me, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, the reason why you're paying him this is because you're paying him just enough over the mid-level exception, which is around $9 million, for him to feel comfortable. And you're giving him that second year because A, you can still trade him, and B, he wants to be somewhere and feel wanted. Things can change. You could say,
I like the number 2.
Right.
Two for 20.5. That's a good number.
I've got
it's high, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think I've got like 10.25 across the board. So
okay.
And that would make sense.
That's good. So now you have 7.7 million left to spend. Oh, look at this. And we're doing the salary dump.
The OG salary dump that I love, which is Mike Scott and the New York Knicks second round pick next year, which the Sixers have, trading for cash considerations. Because again, the Sixers are going to have a lot of financial responsibility. Give them some cash. If you send $3 million, that's going to cover most, if not maybe all, of their eventual luxury tax bills. So, we'll see, but I think that works for them.
I gotta say, I like what you're doing here. So now we've got Kyra Lewis Jr. was our main draft acquisition, and we also are bringing in Danilo Gallinari, Justin Holiday, and Mike Scott as a salary dump, who will actually help the Knicks.
I've got Killian Hayes, but again, you could swap out either
Killian
player
or Kyra, one of the
That's
other.
fine.
Okay.
Totally fine. And then we use the remaining cap space. We're splitting that, and we're giving it to Quickly and Merrill. And it's, as you can see, it's about $1.4 million between everyone, and we've used up all of our cap space.
And Tom Thibodeau is happy.
He is. He's smiling, that beautiful man.
He looks good there.
He does.
He looks good in this picture. I will say that.
Healthy.
Okay. He looks healthy. He does look healthy.
So we're not done. There's clearly a couple needs that we have to address. So
what could those be?
Well, first move, I've got trading Dennis Smith Jr. and cash, because we still have some cash left, to the Chicago Bulls for Cristiano Felicio and a 2021 second round pick for the Bulls. And if you're Jerry Reinsdorf,
we're getting the Bulls' own 2021 second round pick.
That's correct. If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, you've been giving away second round picks like candy. You're saving money here. You're getting a point guard.
I don't think you need to trade Dennis Smith Jr. to get this. I think giving cash for Cristiano Felicio would get you the second.
Yes, but we can't absorb Cristiano Felicio on his own. And we also know that there's going to be a logjam at the 1. So we want Dennis Smith Jr. to go to a team that he's a little bit more comfortable with.
This is the first thing you've done that I'm not a huge fan of. At this, I would like this is like the very definition of selling low on Dennis Smith Jr.
It is. But again, I don't see his value rising to the point between now and the deadline where he's going to fetch something that's better than this. That's why.
But you didn't.
That's why I wanted, and I did admittedly also need a roster spot. So because what I've got next is,
all right, let's see,
cutting Cristiano Felicio's
poor Cristiano
Brazilian butt. Then I've got a big trade.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, right. It's your ideal offseason, so let's do it.
It is. And what's more, I'm not going to go too far into depth because this is what I've got an article out about.
Okay, so let's just say what it is.
The trade: Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton. Hey, remember him? Reggie Bullock, Theo Pinson, him too. to the Utah Jazz for Mike Conley Jr., Ed Davis, and a lottery protected 2022 first round pick. Now,
that then converts to
it's going to convert to a 2024 first round pick because of how it works with Memphis. That's the likelihood. So here's the thing. And I already know what you're thinking, John. So,
well, I'm thinking the Jazz don't do this.
Yes, exactly. So my whole article, and again, if you'd
Well,
like to read it,
don't
you
spoil
can.
the article.
I'm just going to give the gist. The
Okay.
gist is that the Jazz are likely in financial peril. Yes, they do have a new owner. That's great, 100%. The issue is, though, that they could easily be in the luxury tax in the 2021-2022 season. And this year, if they re-sign Jordan Clarkson, and if they sign a player with the mid-level exception, and they do need to upgrade their bench, they're in the luxury tax zone.
And the Gobert thing is still there, and obviously the Donovan Mitchell extension. Okay, so
I'm basically going from, this is one of those types of moves that on paper you would say, yeah, I don't necessarily understand it, but when the finances kick in, it makes a little bit more sense.
I mean, well, okay. All right, well, let's move on. I'm curious to read what you wrote about it.
Sure.
Okay,
And
so
again,
now Mike Conley Jr. is the Knicks starting point guard. That's pretty good.
Yep. And now, lastly, which I think people also hate, if you're kind of trying to imagine what the depth chart is, there's a glaring hole at the wing. We need help. We also need defense because we don't really have any. We have no cap space, but we do have a room exception. So we might as well use it. I could use it on a player like Wesley Iwundu, but he's a restricted free agent, and I think that Orlando probably matches that type of deal.
Who are you getting for the room exception that's a decent wing, decent starting wing?
I didn't say decent or starting, but I did say a defensive wing. And that is why I am helping CAA with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. And again, this is not a move that I love. I just know that I need that type of player.
Listen, friends help friends sign Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Here's the thing, for context. John, do you know how many times in the last 16 years the Knicks finished with a top 15 defensive rating?
In the last how many years?
16 years.
With a top 15 defensive rating?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's at least once.
That's it. It's once.
Yeah, okay.
One time. So look, I think the fact that Michael Kidd-Gilchrist can't shoot is abysmal. I would not want him in any other circumstance.
No, I'm fine with it.
We need the defense. There's no one else to give this money to because we need help at the wing. That's where we stand. So extend Mitchell Robinson.
Extending Mitchell Robinson.
Again, I think that I would like to keep his cap hold open, but lock him in. That's fine. And then I've got extending Frank Ntilikina as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Great.
So now, with our cap space.
Folks at home, if you're listening to this on a podcast, even if you never go on YouTube, go search up the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. I hope we can. I'm
subscribe,
trying.
First of all. Subscribe.
Subscribe to the
like this video. Thumbs up for your boys.
Yeah, thumbs up for we're your boys too.
Shout out CP.
Shout out CP of Knicks Fan TV.
So
yes, okay.
So here's where we're at. We're certainly over the cap in terms of 13 million, but that's fine. We're not paying luxury taxes, so we're totally cool here. Next year,
James Dolan's money. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. Next year, we've got, I should say the 21-22 season, $30.7 million in cap space. And it's malleable because I gave Michael Kidd-Gilchrist that second year. I gave him, for the room exception, only $1 million guaranteed. So
can we just say really quick, so the starting lineup that you have concocted is, tell me if I've missed anybody. Mike Conley Jr. as a starting point guard. Your starting wings are RJ Barrett and Justin Holiday. And then front court, Danilo Gallinari and Mitchell Robinson. Mm-hmm. Coming off the bench, you have rookie Killian Hayes, Frank Ntilikina. You have, I guess, Kevin Knox,
mm-hmm.
and then Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and Iggy Brazdeikis fight it out for the backup 4. Maybe they both get time. And then as your backup 5, you have Killian Tilly, I guess, would be, or and maybe Ed Davis. Ed Davis right. is
Who
also there.
Was a great mentor in Brooklyn to Jared Allen.
Yes.
So that is the one reason why I'm electing to keep him.
And Mike Scott's there too. Let's not forget about Mike Scott. He's also a big guy that could come off the bench. Oh, I mean,
the regional manager. Look, the way I look at this is.
This is listen. That's a basketball team.
Look, I know that if you're listening or if you're watching, you're going to potentially have issues with it. I don't give a fuck. I like this team as is, but here's the thing: I'm trying to make this team a little bit more competitive, but not to the point where I'm losing sight of what the future holds. I still want to give the kids ample time. I think I have like 8 or 9 of 15 players who are 23 or younger. So I'm still all in on the youth movement. That's what I care about. But you learn a lot playing around good players.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, it's the sort of thing where I see these guys as complimenting the young players, not taking advantage of them to the point where they're mercenary players where, a lot of these guys have contracts for the second year. So if you're Gallinari, if you're Holiday, you don't have to worry about getting paid. You can worry about playing within the flow of Thibodeau's team, and your head's not so totally at the point where it's all about me. Mike Conley Jr., you're close with Leon Rose, former agent.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing where that the guys that you have in your building, like you were talking about Westbrook. This to me, as I was doing it, was like, this is the type of environment where if I'm a young player, I feel really comfortable here. And I know that I'm playing around players who either were or at the tail end of their careers, and I can take their jobs. I can go in and get it, or I can learn under them.
I love it. The reason I'm not more excited about this is that I think getting Mike Conley Jr. is a stretch. And I have a feeling
I acknowledge as such in my article.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I can't wait to read it. I'm excited about it. I wonder, it's interesting. That's the type of thing where it's like, again, I'm not saying Utah would do this, but like you have the Knicks getting back a future first in this deal. I wonder if like the Knicks were to send like the 27th pick in this draft, or like send the Pistons second or send Charlotte second from next year to Utah, would it make it? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe
yes, I agree. Again, that I also talk about. I think
because I love what you've done, and the notion of putting this team together with like Mike Conley Jr., Danilo Gallinari, Justin Holiday, Mike Scott, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist as like veteran reinforcements that are so much better than the ones they went out and got last summer.
They fit with what you
100% fits. This is a nice team that's going to finish with the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th worst record in the league.
That's the other thing. I think that if everything breaks, it's great, but I don't see it as that. I see Mike Conley getting injured. I see Gallinari maybe wanting a trade because the Knicks are, the wheels start to fall off. I see Ed Davis not getting a whole lot of minutes, and if you're carried by your youth, you're not going to win a ton of games. So that's what
I like what you did. Look, if they actually did this. Oh my God, there's another slide.
It's the last slide. It's the last slide. So
there we go.
Restating. Add youth. We did that.
You did that.
Surround Mitch and RJ with ball handling, floor spacers, smart defenders. We did that. No immovable contracts. We did that. Foster competitive environment.
Done.
Yeah, we did that. Acquire more future assets than we're sending out. Yeah, even if you took away the idea of a first round pick alongside Conley, and even if you had a second going out, you've acquired at least one more. Great. And then lastly, flexibility in 2021, but a keen focus on 2022. Just to go back, I believe that the final amount is $48 million in cap space for 2022, but it's flawed because that's also Kevin Knox's number. You've got pieces that you can make to trade.
Yeah, no, you could pretty easily get to, you could get to a lot of money in 2022 in your scenario, not to mention they have a good deal of money in next summer should something transpire and you need to move a little bit to get to max space. Listen, man, this was awesome. This was pretty spectacular. I'm speechless. Really. That was really good. We're going to make sure we figure out a way to get that up on the YouTube. I hope it came through on this, but even if it didn't, we'll figure out a way.